in Antonio Pedrero as well. He's won some big races in the past. This is that long straight road that I'm talking about before they swing left and they end up at the top of that big peak that you can see on the left-hand side of your screen.
Don't forget Ivan Sosa as well. He finished this race in 5th place last year, just behind Ruben Fernandez. Both of them are here. Ivan Sosa, normally the Colombian, more one for the longer climbs, but he's a wonderfully gifted climber, the former Ineos man who's at Movistar. He will be in that lineup as well too, and a potential for an early move to hit out and try and get into a rhythm on that climb. I think it might be tricky though, because I've got a feeling those cobbles, no matter how bad they are going to really break up the rhythm with 600 metres to go.
Yeah, Human Powered Health also on the right-hand side there. And on the left, the first glimpse today of the full lineup of Q36.5 Pro Cycling. Now, they've got some good climbers amongst their number. We've already name-checked them, Gianluca Brambilla and Mark Donovan of Great Britain. There they are on the right. Just on the front now, it is Joey Roscoff, former TT champion of the US. He's the sort of rider you want on the front at these times of the day. And at the moment, it's a bit of a drag strip between Charles-Etienne Chrétien, the Canadian for Human Powered Health, and the double world TT champion Rowan Dennis, who's just outgunned him there. Just complete the amount of time that Dennis has spent on the front. He is so strong, and glued to his back wheel still is Jonas Vingegaard. It won't be long before we hit the bottom of the climb.
Gianluca Brambilla is sitting at the back of those silvery jerseys of Q36.5 Pro Cycling. He is there. He's the smaller, the shorter of those Q36.5 Pro Cycling riders. In the middle is Jesus Herrada with the former Spanish champion stripes on his sleeve, riding for Cofidis. He slots back in about 4th or 5th wheel. Maybe it is for him. On paper, he's their fastest uphill finisher as well. He just pushes on the back there of one of the Trinity riders to get back onto his train. Jesus Herrada is trying to get onto the back of those 3 Cofidis riders. That makes me suspicious that he is the rider they're working for today, Herrada.
Yeah, I think you're right. He's had great form already, 7th overall in the Tour of Oman, as well as taking out stage 2. So he is on great form. So Cofidis looking good, and we've seen now that Rowan Dennis has dropped away. His job is done. Jonas Vingegaard is now on the wheel. I think it is of Attila Valter. Lovely views here. So just a completely different day than we had yesterday. Crisp, chilly day, but a beautiful one nonetheless.
Yeah, and a glass still Atlantic Ocean. Look at that. Hardly any waves hammering in here at all. Really still, really calm. Totally unlike what's about to happen, because this is the final climb of the day, the Monte Trego. We're onto it already. Cofidis lead onto it. It's the first time of the day where we're struggling to see yellow jerseys. We're looking for Jumbo-Visma. One rider on the outside, but they seem to, and I should say, of course, that the Hungarian champion is still there as well. Attila Valter, he's looking good. I think we might have lost...
It looked like it was actually Johannes Stein Mittet on the right-hand side. The young rider for the Continental team is taking it up on the front. Attila Valter, a couple of Izagirre is on the wheel of this man now. This is where the road starts to kick up, and this is a ferocious pace that's been set by Izagirre here.
Oh, he looks really good, doesn't he? Stamping on the pedals. Very early on, though. This is a big hit out very early on. So I wonder whether it is for him or whether he's doing this for a teammate. This could still be all about trying to set up Jesus Herrada.
Yeah, so I think Herrada's a little bit... I think this is Jose Herrada. I think you can just see Izagirre a little bit further back there. Very similar styles on a bike, but I think it's Jose Herrada on the front at the moment. Jesus Herrada is, I think, their protected rider, but as you can see, they have got options, and already on the lower slopes, there's still over 3Ks to go. This field is shedding riders very quickly.
Yeah, the back door is very much open, and they've been dripping off since we took that right-hand turn onto the road. You're right, this is Johannes Stein Mittet, another powerful Norwegian rider plying his trade in the World Tour and riding, stepping up, as Matt said, from the Continental Under-23 team to ride for the big boys in amongst the Jumbo-Visma seniors, and giving it absolutely everything here with 3K to go. And look at Jonas Vingegaard on his wheel. Vingegaard looks so calm.
He looks serene, doesn't he? I mean, this is a classy rider. The rider on the front now, 21 years of age, from Lillehammer in Norway, a former winner of the Ronde Lizard, and is signed up for 2024 through 2026. Another burgeoning talent, and at the moment he's making a lot of riders hurt here. Has a little look round. He will see the Tour de France champion on his wheel. Still a long way to go, 2.8 kilometres to go. We have about 40 riders left, and most riders here at the back struggling to stay in contention. Great bit of pace setting by this youngster.
You mentioned that Jonas Vingegaard started so well at the Fondrone Classic last year at the beginning of his season by getting the win there. And even in that race, I remember saying how comfortable he looked throughout. He has a wonderful, easy style. And not just that, not just about his cycling and his form. He just seems to be a very calm, locked-in man anyway, in general. And he's exhibiting that right now on these slopes of our final climb, the Monte Trega. Wow. Beautiful views behind them. Stolner Mittet giving it absolutely everything he can. He's biting on that tongue as best he can, Philippe Gilbert style almost, and his team leader just sits there tapping away, Matt, all the time.
Yeah, you do wonder how much longer. He looks to be right. He is in the red zone here. This is real commitment. This is real power. But look, like you say, how serene the man on his wheel is. Attila Valter is looking very good. Look at this big acceleration by Vingegaard on the left-hand side. Wow, look at this.
Massive. The Tour de France champion goes. Who's got anything left? It's one of the Cofidis riders trying to stamp across. But even now, even at full pelt, Jonas Vingegaard looks totally in control. He's looking over his shoulder to see his damage. Who can come with him?
Well, 2.3. Did you see that? Izagirre looked and thought, no way can I even go with that. That was a ridiculous turn of speed from the Tour de France champion. Beautifully set up by the man from Norway, Jonas Stolner Mittet. What can this man do now? And visibly, he's just moving quicker. There was nothing they could do about it. There wasn't even. They just looked and they didn't even try. Actually, Izagirre just swung over and said, just no way I can actually respond to that violent acceleration. This man is absolutely flying.
2K to go for Jonas Vingegaard. Just 1 week ago, of course, we were watching his big Tour de France rival Tadej Pogacar romping away from people and taking everything in his stride in the Ruta del Sol. Well, I wondered at the time what kind of message that might send to Jonas Vingegaard and how he was feeling about things. Well, I think we're getting our answer right now. He's coming into this season in very fine form indeed, the defending champion of the Tour de France, and starting perhaps as he means to go on the attack as well. He indicated that yesterday by taking the opening bonus second of the stage, and today he's made an attack from a very illustrious leading group, and they have no answer to it right now.
No, they don't. They've settled into a rhythm now, though. They couldn't do anything about the stinging attack. The way he just cut the apex, just look at the speed. The average grade of this climb, a reminder, 7.5%. He's still on the big ring, absolutely flying up here. 16 seconds is the gap. Beautiful shot there, and he's romping. It is almost as if, well, anything that Tadej Pogacar can do, I can do better. This generation of riders that we have, we know that Vingegaard is a different style of rider. We know he's not, he just is himself. But that was a stinging acceleration. The likes that we only see from the great champions, the fact there was zero response at all, as if just we can't do anything about it. I mean, look at the relatively laboured riding here of the riders behind, and this is a classy group of riders. They just have nothing that they can do to offer up in defence of that attack.
That looks like Jefferson Cepeda of Caja Seguros just trying to limit his losses. There's a remarkable difference in form between our leader here, Jonas Vingegaard, and them, because they look like they're really labouring and pressing on the pedals. Vingegaard is obviously working incredibly hard, but he has this wonderful, relaxed and yet incredibly powerful style. Long-limbed and very efficient to look at on the bike. He's still looking back though, Matt.
He's making sure. He's taken another 3 seconds though. He's just making sure. Clearly, if they were starting to close, you'd like to think that he might have a little bit under the hood, but this is the sort of effort that he's pretty much maxed out. He'll be right on the red line here as we see the group further split behind. This is a great rider. It's one of the riders from Burgos Biachi who's going clear. Not too sure who this one is, but he's out of the saddle and he's opened up a bit of a gap on the group behind. So good riding by this rider, and he's moved clear, but look at the sprocket that he's on there. On an enormous gear compared to everybody else. And you talk about the form he's in, Jez. He's clearly in good form. But I think as well, it's about ability. It's about, there's form, the current form, but there's the ability, the capacity of these riders. And look at the state that everybody was in under the impetus and the pace being set by Stolner Mittet. And yet Vingegaard was just tranquil on his wheel. And then he hit out. It's just, form clearly is there. It won't be his Tour de France form, but it's just the capacity that he has to go hard off the pace that's been set behind, in front.
Yeah. Absolutely, it has to be said. Contrasting him with Tadej Pogacar last week, that was a deliberate attack by Jonas Vingegaard and his team. Pogacar last week was talking about how actually others were attacking him, and he had no choice but to cover and then go over the top of them and what have you. And yet they just weren't strong enough to go with him. This is totally different. This is Jonas Vingegaard taking the race, and his team taking the race totally to themselves. They've chased all day. They've closed the gap to the breakaway. They've gone over the top of the breakaway. They've led him into this final climb. This is a very decisive and deliberate move. And here come the cobbles as they turn off the main road. So this is going to be quite rough. Let's have a look at how bad they are.
Yeah, they're pretty bumpy, aren't they? Very narrow, grass growing in between. The rider that's accelerated off the front of the next group, Jez, is Victor Langelotti of Monaco, has had a 6th place on the stage of the Tour of Oman, so he's looking good. But this is very steep and clearly very, very bumpy indeed.
There we go. The Burgos Playache rider, Victor Langelotti, one of very few Monegasque riders in the peloton, certainly at the level at which he's racing at. But Jonas Vingegaard with the number 1 on his back is looking like he's going to be exactly that today. By the time they get to the top, he's going to round that last corner. That's the final shot. He should be off the cobbles. And I tell you what, they were pretty nasty cobbles too, and they still are, and they will be for the riders who are coming in for many minutes to come just yet, because there are riders well down on this. The one who isn't, though, is Jonas Vingegaard, who didn't make that look easy because that was particularly tough. But his attack today has been utterly devastating. The defending Tour de France champion. He'll have looked at Tadej Pogacar last week. You couldn't have missed it. He won 3 stages and the overall of the Ruta del Sol and made it look very easy. He might have looked at that and said, you know what, anything you can do, I might not be able to do it better, but I can do it just as well. And he's romped away to win today. Great performance by his team, Jumbo-Visma, and you can tell Jonas Vingegaard is in form. Final bend for him, and he'll be into the last, I think, 200 metres now, if my estimation is correct, as he comes around that corner. The Dane, Jonas Vingegaard, is going to win the 2nd stage, but effectively the opening stage of Gran Camino. What a dominant final ride.
I hope there's no kids watching, because
as well, up
let me turn this down.
And Guerrero it is. It's going to be Guerrero who comes to the line second by the looks of it. Ruben Guerrero, we've seen nothing of in the final stage of this, with the number 1 on his back as the defending champion of Alejandro Valverde's former team, of course. Guerrero looking really good come the finish, but none of them had any answer to Jonas Vingegaard.
No, they just crossed the line there as well, Langelotti.
That was bloody amazing. That little, I wouldn't even call it cobbles. It's like big sections of like pavement put down, like blocks of pavement. And I guess it's somewhat like cobbles, but that was ridiculous. If it had been raining today, that little section, they're probably going to show it again. If it had been raining today and that little section of, like, I guess they're calling it cobbles, man, they would have been walking up there. They would not have been able to ride up there because it was green. So that meant that the tires would have been slippy on it. And also the little blocks of pavement were like green. It like had some mossy green on it as well too. So I can see on a wet day that you're not riding up that. You need a fat tire mountain bike or something to get up that. So if they show it again, if they do show it again, or just go back and play back and look at it, man, that was tough. That was well worth seeing. So we see Jonas Vingegaard. He will be waiting for him to do his thing to finally come out, and he's out. And everyone's wondering, what's going to be the response? How is he going to be preparing for the Tour de France? And we see Tadej Pogacar. He's the winner of the Tour on the Ruta del Sol last weekend. Tadej Pogacar, 5 stages, he won 4 and he won the overall. So the boys that matter, they're letting you know, like, yeah, we ready to throw down. We ready to throw down. And now we got to give a shout out to Thomas Pitcock. He's not in today's race, but he's also, putting it down. The form is good. So he's looking like he's going to possibly be an outside contender. And he has people like Geraint Thomas. Geraint Thomas backing him up. I don't think Geraint Thomas is going to be like, they may just because of seniority make him joint leader or something, but I don't think that Geraint Thomas is going to be the main one to compete against this young man, Jonas Vingegaard and Tadej Pogacar. So that's my top 3 so far. So they're gonna show that little like off-road couple section again. They need to, man, because that was insane. And they had one section where it probably was like you probably couldn't even fit like 2 or 3 people walking abreast. It just got really, really narrow. So that was interesting. As you can see how they went off of the main road and onto this little side, which is much steeper. So the main road looks like it's about 10%, and then that little section probably goes up to about 18, 20%, probably even more. That was insane. That was insane. That was particularly insane. That was pretty exciting to see as well too. So anyway, we're just looking forward to the Tour de France is it's going to be really, really exciting. It's going to be really exciting. Definitely looking forward to. So we just looking out from the top of the mountain, in parts of Spain. I think that's Sierra Nevada in the background. Not quite sure. Just taking a guess. It's been a while since I've been to Spain, so um, yeah, it's just been a while. I don't know. I can't be because there's a little river in between, like that big lake. So maybe not, maybe not, maybe not, maybe not. But it's spectacular. Anyway, I'm gonna jump off of this. If you did watch that, this is what we're waiting for. Jonas Vingegaard, Ruben Guerrero, Izagirre, uh, Antonio, is that Pedro, Jesus Serrada, Victor Langleato, Lorenzo Fortiano, Lucas, can't know his last name, Ruben Fernandez, and Attila Volta. That's your top 10. So who we got? And Jumbo still got they got 2 in the top 10. Movistar got 2 in the top 10. Confidence got 2 in the top 10. And anybody else? So yeah, that was a pretty good ride. That was awesome. That was exciting to see. So that's what we've been waiting for. We've been waiting to see Jonas Vingegaard, and he is I'm here for business. We ain't playing, son.